on top of the torrential rain that we've seen this morning. And I would say this whole line, the way it's just kind of all connected and bending here from where that warning is all the way down, you know, with all that heavy rain and stuff. And that's why you've got that severe thunderstorm warning that's huge from Albemarle down to Wadesboro, because of that bending line, push of the damaging winds. So you've got gusty winds up and down this whole thing.
Gusty wind, a lot of lightning, so obviously just stay put until this line passes through. That severe thunderstorm warning that we were talking about for Anson County, Montgomery County, Richmond, Stanley County, that goes until 2:45. So obviously folks in Wadesboro and especially to the east of there along that Highway 74 corridor now toward Rockingham, you're looking nice and dry out there at the moment. You're saying what storms? So we look back off to the west and there's some real dark clouds in the distance and that line is headed your way. So that's why we've got that severe thunderstorm warning in effect for you all due to the possibility and the potential of some damaging wind gusts, as Elisa was saying, and maybe even some hail. But really, it's a high wind threat, a damaging wind threat associated with this line of storms and these storms moving through here today, including that tornado warning that is still officially in effect until 2:15. So we're going to continue to track this along with you here a little while longer until that threat has passed. But we were noticing, and Elisa, you're shifting back to the velocity.
Yeah, I wanted to see if it changed, if there was anything on there, but still not seeing that spin that we look for tornadoes. Still not really seeing it show up, at least, or show up well on velocity.
Right. We like to look for that really distinct couplet with those different colors wrapped kind of tightly together to show that there could be something trying to touch down there. So looking back at some of the reports, again, that severe thunderstorm warning does continue with a possible tornado. They put the little tag on that saying there may be a tornado that could try and form out of this line that's moving through and into Union County, Stanley County, Anson, and Richmond County. So those of you under that severe thunderstorm warning, and we're talking about
here.
Yeah, you all.
Here, I'll draw a little arrow.
Yes.
It's, here, it's, whoops.
So you can
in the
see that
question box right here. So
there we go.
There it is. And it's kind of the situation with this whole line where you get these like little nubs and areas of rotation just because the line itself is so organized from up here and then down towards Wadesboro. You get those kind of little possibilities of twisting and spin ups, which is kind of the situation that we had with this system in Concord. And then we just were able to get that warning to come through. They are continuing it until 2:15. That storm producing a tornado is near Concord, and it's moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. That is very fast. Very fast. So we can put some arrival times. It looks like they kind of shortened it up too.
As it continues, that trek northeast. And so it's a little closer and kind of right over downtown Concord right now. And at last check, it was about 7 miles to the southwest of it. So Elisa's putting the track on that right now. And you
40
can see,
miles per hour.
Yeah, 40 miles an hour. So that is just kind of whipping through here. Just go ahead and stay with us and stay inside that lowest level of your home, away from those outside walls and windows until we let you know that threat has passed and you can relax a little bit. But until that happens, we'll track that storm along with you. So this is going to be closing in. You can see the list of cities and towns. So we're in the Concord area right about now. We were talking about that storm located over the downtown area and greater Concord, Salisbury around 225, Cotton Grove 240 or so, Lexington. So now we're heading more out of, we're heading up into Davidson County and away from Rowan County there. So hopefully that storm likely a lot weaker by that time, but just gives you an idea of the general direction it's going, basically moving right along that I-85 corridor. You can see that line again stretching all the way down through Ansonville and southwest Stanley County, and that's where we have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect. And you can see the radar in motion, how it is pushing away from Charlotte and away from you all in Union County. But there we go. Boy, that torrential rain closing in on Wadesboro right now. Possibly some real gusty wind here too, and around Ellerbe and Rockingham and up into Montgomery County. That line is moving through. So again, tornado warning in effect for the Concord area. It does include just that area east of I-85 and east of Kannapolis, as well as that storm treks to the northeast. Just checking for any more updates here coming in. And I don't see any at the moment, so we'll keep tracking that.
It looks like, actually, Tara, they just issued a tornado warning just south of there.
Oh, there we go.
Davidson, Montgomery, Randolph, and Stanley counties until 2:45. Same story that we've been talking about. You know, this line of storms has those little areas of rotation that are capable of a tornado. So that's why we've got this new warning now for Stanley County. They just issued until 2:45.
That's right. And so, yes, and just as we were saying that, so we were saying even though it didn't have a tornado warning earlier, that you should still just hunker down into that lowest level of your house, because sometimes we can get out of this general line just these little areas of rotation and quick spin-ups here that can form with all the ingredients coming together and passing through here today. Again, you can see that line stretching through Stanley County right now. So Albemarle, you are now included in that tornado warning.
Yeah, let's get some arrival times, because Tara, this is now saying it moves at 45 miles per hour.
Oh, wow.
Think about that. You drive that fast on the highway faster. You know, like that's fast for these storms to be moving, which also means heed these warnings, you know, get in that basement, because this storm could probably come in pretty quick. You know, if things are, you're like, oh, what are they talking about? It's just little showers out here right now. This storm would come in pretty quick with the heavy rain and the gusty winds. There's some arrival times for it getting in just within the next couple of minutes towards Jackson Hill and Cedar Grove.
Yeah, so this storm was located near Plyler. So if that sounds familiar to you, you live around that area, about 7 miles to the west of Albemarle, moving northeast at 45. That's where, at last check, the storm was located. So 7 miles to the west of Albemarle, and you can see with the forecast track there, it's going to be getting into the New London area. So if you live not only in Concord and Albemarle, but up into New London, so we're talking about that far northern part of Stanley County, Jackson Hill, and eventually now we're getting out of Stanley County and talking about more Davidson County and part of Randolph County there too, Denton and Cedar Grove and the Thomasville area, so closer to the Triad. That's going to be closer to 245, 250 or so.
And they are saying, Tara, so basically in this area around Albemarle, we're in a situation where there's 2 different weather service offices, jurisdiction. Think of it like police, you know, precincts and police offices and stuff. So the National Weather Service in Greenville is watching the rotation in Stanley County to see if they might need to extend that warning into Rowan County as well, just to see, you know, how far this rotation might extend. But yeah, this warning continues until 2:45. Let's look and see if anything shows on. In this type of situation, it's difficult to see where that spinning might be on the velocity. What do you think about this right here, Tara?
Well, I know, and I was just going to say, yeah, to put one of us back on screen, or yes, you can see the,
right
the drawing
there
on the screen, and we were talking about this storm, so that is about 7 miles west of Albemarle, where we are seeing some of those kind of colors trying to come together. Not a very tight couplet where there's a real distinct tornado signature where one could be trying to form here, but it just gives you an idea of maybe some of the twisting wind happening in the atmosphere. So that is 7 miles west of Albemarle. So if you live basically between Concord and Albemarle, the Meisenheimer area, this storm is impacting you all here. Just go ahead and hunker down, stay inside. That safe place in your home, some sort of interior room like a hallway or a closet or a bathroom, as long as it doesn't have windows, until this storm passes. So we're talking about Concord area and near Kannapolis under that tornado warning for just a few more minutes. We'll wait and see what happens once we move past 2:15. But also this tornado warning for Stanley County until 2:45. Again, this storm is moving. There's Mount Pleasant on the map there right now, so kind of along Highway 73 and part of that corridor there. So Mount Pleasant also included, just kind of right on the outskirts of that official tornado warning, but still that storm is kind of around you all there, that Highway 73 corridor where we're seeing some signs of that broad rotation and maybe a tornado trying to form here. Certainly some gusty wind with this line that's moving through, and it is headed northeast. So I know there's a lot of different colors here on this map.
Yeah, we can put the radar back if it may be easier for some people to see, but Yeah, I mean, definitely the torrential rain and the lightning. And like Tara was saying, in this situation, we get what we call like that broad rotation. It's going to give you damaging wind gusts. You're going to have a gust and a push of some severe wind roll through. There have been reports of some tree limbs and some power lines that are just getting knocked around in some of the damaging winds. But this isn't, a classic tornado scenario. This is where we've got this line that's just so strong because of the way that it's bent and organized. I mean, and it even stretches even back down into South Carolina, right? All the way up from the Concord area, bending down through Ruby, where we've got that push of damaging winds as these storms just kind of organize into a line. They bend and they push forward with that push of damaging winds. And then you get the situation that we're in where you get these little nubs to kind of twist and turn along the line. And that's why we've got two of these tornado warnings. That the line, though, moving pretty fast.
That's right. And still, even out ahead of that, we have, again, the severe thunderstorm warnings that do continue. So we'll wait and see if we see any more little rotation signatures showing up as this line. You can see how we've got that torrential rain affecting you all around the Norwood area, Highway 52, and it's about to head into the Mount Gilead area there, Montgomery County, Ansonville along Highway 52, and eventually, just heads up, folks, in Richmond County, you're looking okay right now, my friends, in Ellerbe and then down into the Rockingham area, but that line of storms with at least the potential of some damaging wind gusts that's headed your way. So bring it inside, stay inside until we get this line passing through. The good news is it's moving through quickly, but again, there's still just a lot of potential damage here that we could be talking about in terms of, again, this tornado warning that is in effect for Stanley County, and that does continue for just a few more minutes there in the Concord area, although, again, it's looking like that storm is trying to push farther away as it moves quickly to the northeast. But heads up, folks, and I mean, even near Salisbury, we've got that heavy rain headed your way, some lightning and maybe some gusty wind, too, at the same time. So you can see with all of that in motion how it's moving from west to east, Ansonville down into Anson County. That line is pushing through. Lots of lightning. We look back off to the west, and things are settling down somewhat. We just have good old-fashioned rain there up toward the mountains and foothills and down into Gaston County. So this is certainly the strongest part of the activity rolling through right now and stretching all the way down into upstate South Carolina.
We do have a report, Tara, from emergency management in Concord saying that the heavy rain and strong winds are starting to let up in downtown Concord. So you still have that warning in effect, but you might be getting on the other end. We might be looking like we're on the other side of this, and at least in downtown Concord, some of the emergency management saying that some of the heavy rain and strong winds that it's been there is starting to let up, but that warning still continues until 2:15 for the Concord area, and then the other warning goes until 2:45.
Okay, good. All right, so things are going to be improving here for you folks around the Concord area. We've got that still some heavy rain coming in, and it's still raining pretty good there in Harrisburg, but the strongest part of the storm and where we were seeing those signs of rotation, that's maybe starting to lose those indicators a little bit there, still dealing with some gusty wind, and we look still for any more signs of broad rotation. There's just nothing real defined on the map here that we're seeing.
Some of this like darker shading, like it's like just just showing the signs that the severe storms are there. They've got the gusty winds, but yeah, it's not that classic cup what they look for.
Right. You can see how these dark colors kind of meet up with the bright colors here, and it's focused over this one area, and this is the exact area that's under the tornado warning. So we're looking more away from Concord right now and near Mount Pleasant and near Meisenheimer and heading into Stanley County. So this is where you still just want to, just in case something could try and form here as far as some sort of a funnel cloud, rotation, tornado here, you just want to stay safe until that threat passes and we get these warnings that have expired or the storms move out. But just stay inside that lowest level of your home, away from the windows, just to be on the safe side, as we keep saying there, because we're still noticing some broad rotations, something maybe a little more trying to form out of this line of torrential rain and some gusty wind that's been moving through here today. And checking back for any additional reports, I don't see anything here at the moment. Just still chatting here, seeing some of the chat information from the National Weather Service, just saying that yes, that severe weather threat does continue for the rest of the afternoon and possibly early this evening, and especially east here, exactly where we're tracking this heavy rain and that line of storms. You can see Wadesboro and Morven, and it stretches all the way down into Chesterfield County there, that line pushing through.
Yeah, the National Weather Service just putting out a little, they call it like a special weather statement. It's just like a little heads up without really putting a warning for Chesterfield and for Cabarrus and Rowan, just about that the storm is pretty strong in the area. This whole line capable of some of those gusty winds is what all of these alerts coming in. It looks like they're continuing the tornado warning in Stanley County until 2:45. They might have just kind of redrawn that box a little bit, but they're continuing until 2:45 with that warning.
Okay, so that was still located, I mean, and in that exact spot we were looking at some of that broad rotation near Albemarle, moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. So heads up, folks, in the Baden Lake area, Albemarle, that's closing in on the Albemarle area right now as we speak. The strongest part of that storm, and Baden Lake around 220. So we're looking at, again, the potential at least for some damaging wind gusts here, and possible tornado trying to form out of this line. El Dorado, Baden, Fishtails, Marina, Finger, and Richfield. So that part of Stanley County. Yes.
Yeah, and moving real fast. That's why I put some of those arrival times on there for you. Moving at 45 miles per hour, you drive that fast sometimes. So getting some of these arrival times on there for you, about 2:30 in Candy, 2:50 in Cedar Grove, about 2:50 also near Ashboro. So at least as quickly it comes in, it'll also exit as quickly. So the threat shouldn't last too long with the way that these storms will move pretty fast. But just remember that means it could also come in pretty quickly. We don't want you to get caught off guard that these storms are rolling very fast.
And that's why sometimes, especially in this situation, even when we talk about there's a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for your area, that's why you need to stay inside, lowest level of your home, even in that case, even if there's not an official tornado warning in effect yet, because sometimes these things can happen quickly before an official tornado warning is issued. So severe thunderstorm warning, just always know that. Just keep it inside, away from the windows, lowest level of your house, just in case something more severe could pop up like that.
Yeah, and it can show what you're talking about here about the safety, just, the part of your home that you want to be in this situation. You see where the green is, away from the windows. Bathrooms typically don't have windows, right? The bathtub, closets, things like that. That's where you'll want to be, away from windows. And actually, it does look like, so they haven't done it yet, but the National Weather Service is letting us know that they're going to issue that tornado warning for Rowan County. They're going to kind of fill in the hole there a little bit. So where I was mentioning, we're in this situation where we've got different jurisdictions for the warning. It looks like the other Weather Service office is going to issue that warning. But yeah, this is where you want to be, in the center of your home, hallway, closets, bathrooms, away from windows, because you don't want any debris to kind of roll in from the window. Basement is the best, but many homes around here don't have basements. I personally don't have a basement, so I know that my closet or the bathroom is the safe space. But let's go back to that radar, because what I was mentioning is there was like that little area of a hole of jurisdiction that we like to call it, that they're going to fill in with a warning.
And so that's basically kind of around the Gold Hill area. So if you do live around Gold Hill, just know that there's, you all too are included in this line here. So yeah, this is that little sliver of Rowan County, not officially under that tornado warning, but that line of storms is affecting you also. Elise has circled it here, and you can see the missing part of the red box here. It's kind of like a puzzle piece that's missing. But just know, folks, in Gold Hill, you live near that Highway 52 corridor and just southwest of Denton, that line is going to be passing through your all's neck of the woods too. And so at least with some pretty strong wind and maybe some rotation trying to form out of this line here, a possible tornado. And that's why we do have that tornado warning in effect nearby. And so we're talking about Albemarle, northern part of Stanley County, until 2:45.
And there it went. You could see the red that just got filled in.
There we go. It just filled in.
It's also until 2:45, like the rest of the warning. So they just kind of completed the box there.
Right.
Rowan County until 2:45. Also, again, citing the same thing we've been talking about, the little area for concern. That area of rotation is sitting just 7 miles northwest of Albemarle, and moving north. They dropped the speed down to 30 miles per hour. It's still pretty quick, but that's again, these storms coming in fast. They'll exit fast, but it's coming in fast. And the the line, even just of damaging winds, even if we don't get that rotation to drop down, I mean, just look at how organized, what we look for when we look at line of storms. Do you see how, Tara, look at the way that the leading edge of that, right? Like just how sharp of a line that is of the storms that cut off from where it's like probably sunny in El Dorado. And then you've got all of this rain coming down in Albemarle. It just, that's going to be a push and a gust of damaging winds with that. Whether a tornado drops down or not, you're going to have the gusty winds.
That's right. And so we're talking about a mainly rural part here, Rowan County, but now we've got, and as Elisa was saying, that leading edge. I mean, just that sharp cutoff between no rain and then just torrential rain and some gusty wind right over the Baden Lake area right now. New London, still looking at some lightning, Albemarle, and you can kind of make out that red box. So that's the tornado warning area that we're talking about. Does still officially include Albemarle, but then after it moves through New London, Albemarle, those areas, it's going to be heading closer to the Triad area. So Denton and that part of Davidson County and out toward Uwharrie there, that northern part of Montgomery County, that line just lifting quickly up to the northeast. And let's check out, Cabarrus County.
They canceled it, Tara. Right. They let it expire. Yeah, so it's 2:15, so that means the warning around Concord was officially dropped. So we officially do not have that warning for Cabarrus County. So now we'll just continue to watch this one that's been around Rowan and Stanley counties. This continues until 2:45 for this storm that has that possible rotation in there. And we haven't looked at the velocity in a second, so we can check and see what some of this rotation might look like. Still nothing you know, screaming at us just because of the situation that we're in. But you can kind of see right along that line where I was talking about where you go from sunshine to a torrential downpour, just how deep that contrast is. That's where you kind of see some of the deeper colors showing up on velocity, where there is going to be gusty winds. Those storms are going to come in with a push of wind. So that's definitely what we're concerned about through 2:45.
And same goes too, so that storm that just moved out of Cabarrus County, so that's really pounding down with that heavy rain right now, kind of in between Landis and the Gold Hill area and up towards Salisbury, so that's lifting to the north and east. No longer seeing any real good tornado indicators here out of this, but yeah, look at that push of some heavy rain just right as you get off that I-85 corridor at the exit there near the Landis area, Highway 29, so that batch of heavy rain is heading north and up toward the Salisbury area. But again, tornado warning does continue from roughly the Albemarle area and right over downtown up toward Meisenheimer. And now we're talking about Montgomery County, Davidson County, and the Denton area. So that southern part of Davidson County, all looking at still a possible tornado that could try and spin up here out of this just torrential band of rain and some strong wind that's passing through right now. So wouldn't be surprised to maybe start hearing about some of those wind damage reports coming out of this. And you can see that line. I mean, folks in Norwood, southern Stanley County, Ansonville, and boy, that leading edge of heavy rain is closing in on you all there in Ellerby and living around Highway 220, Rockingham. So just keep it inside. You're just about to get that heavy line of rain moving in. Elisa, you have some power outage information?
Yeah, so like we've been mentioning, I mean, this push of the damaging winds, the wind gusts that come through, we do have some power outages right in that area we've been talking about where some of the, the warnings and where the damaging winds have been coming through. About 4,000 people without power there. This is the Duke Energy map, and I believe there are even some power outages around the Charlotte area too when these storms came in with the torrential rain. Just keep that in mind. We might, with these storms coming through with that push of damaging winds, we have seen reports of some tree limbs down, power lines down in spots where some of these storms have come through. So we are starting to get reports of some power outages out. You could see about 5,000 people in that area just to the east of Charlotte, where we've been tracking this kind of nasty line of storms with some of that rotation. Just some people in the dark now and without power.
And that's in that same spot, 5,000 power outages there, and just to the southwest of Harrisburg, where we had that tornado warned storm probably before the warning was issued for Cabarrus County a little while ago. So certainly maybe some pretty gusty wind coming out of this line. Lots of lightning too, of course. And yeah, you can see that line as we continue to track it here. Tornado warning continues until 2:45. So unless that warning is canceled a little bit earlier, we're going to stay on with you and just kind of track the storm, this line, as it progresses east through our area along with you, just to let you know what's happening out there and when that threat is over with as well. So we're still looking at the potential for some rotation here within this line. It's starting to kind of move away from Albemarle a little bit here and lifting up into southern Davidson County, and we've got Montgomery County too, Uwharrie, and headed all the way down into the Mount Gilead area and the western part of Montgomery County, where a severe thunderstorm warning is also in effect. They're off to the east.
Yeah, they kept that until 2:45. It still has the tornado possible tag. It looks like they kind of skinnied it up a little bit right around where that line is at. But it does continue until 2:45. And like we're mentioning, we look for the shape, to see the shape of the line, the way that it like bends and curves right here from the Albemarle area down towards Rockingham. When you get storms to organize in a line, and then we call it bow or bend, right? That's where you get that push of damaging winds up along the leading edge of that thunderstorm, right in there where it's all kind of clustered together into a line, and then that line bends. That's where you get that push of damaging winds. And this is also, again, like that same area that we were looking at some of the power outages. So we know that there are some very strong wind gusts in this, whether they're spinning or not. The only difference is if they're straight line wind, are they coming at you straight, or if it's a tornado, is it spinning in that vortex? So we know that there are some straight line winds in here because we do have some of those power outages to reflect that. It's just something to keep in mind, and that's why we're watching for these little twists and turns of rotation within that line. So this whole warning has that tornado possible tag to kind of account for that, instead of making one big tornado warning that we might not need yet. It's kind of like, okay, keep an eye out. We might find some of that spin in there.
That's right, and we're keeping an eye on our friends here to the south in Chesterfield and the Cheraw area, because you are getting pummeled with some heavy rain right now too, and boy, likely, and that's kind of just the tail end really. We do have another cluster of storms that looks like broken away from that now toward McBee, but just the tail end of that line. Boy, some torrential rain over Patrick right now and heading up into Chesterfield and Cheraw. You're not officially under any sort of warning, but we are watching that area along with you as well. For now, again, just really focused on this northern part of the line, so up around Albemarle and that northwest part of Montgomery County, as it is just, and you can see, and as Elisa was explaining, I mean, just imagine the wind just pushing that and making it look like that on radar, the rain on radar, because it's just pushing it so quickly, that strong wind, as it moves through that part of Stanley County, southeastern Rowan, and up into Davidson County and Randolph County too. So, and if you're watching from Salisbury, you're seeing that there's a tornado warning for Rowan County. I want you to know that you are not looking, you are away from the strongest part of the storm here. So that part of Rowan County is in the clear at the moment. Obviously, we still have some stormy weather there, but we just want you to know that if you're watching from Salisbury, you are not under the tornado warning. It's that area east of Gold Hill, near Meisenheimer, and closer to Stanley County and Randolph and Davidson County. That's under that tornado warning until 2:45.
Emergency management is saying that there's a large power outage in downtown Concord.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a lot of people in Concord without power is where we had that warning previously, and of course we've been tracking the gusty winds there. But yeah, emergency management saying that there are a lot of people in the dark right now in Concord as these storms just blew through. Department of Highway Patrol for Union County report in South Carolina is saying that there are a couple of trees down on the streets there. So getting these storms coming in with a push for sure.
Yeah, so, and obviously, yeah, so we were hearing about some of the wind damage out there. So certainly we're at least looking at some damaging wind gusts with this line of storms, but sometimes we get these quick spin ups here out of this line that pushes through so quickly. That can happen, and that's why, again, we were noticing it with this part of the storm as it was moving through Stanley County and southeastern Rowan and lifting up to the north and east. And so that's why the National Weather Service went ahead and issued that tornado warning. Just to be safe, just hunker down, lowest level of your home and away from those outside windows until that threat passes, until this line finally gets out of here. It's starting to move farther away from Albemarle, but right over Baden Lake area, and heading into Montgomery County there, Meisenheimer still included in that tornado warning, and all the way up into the Denton area. So you get an idea of just how it's moving, and you can see some of those darker colors that Elise is circling right now. Just shows, at least, I mean, some of that strong wind that's pushing through, but still at the same time, and as we've been saying all along here, just no real defined couplet that shows, yes, indeed, there could be a tornado touching down here out of any part of this line at the moment. But sometimes that can just quickly happen. You get these quick spin ups, and that's why we're just letting you know, yes, the tornado warning is out there. You just want to get in that safe spot until the storm passes.
Yeah, and it's still showing like she was mentioning, the deep kind of reds that I circled. That's where we've been looking at the leading edge of these storms that come with that push of damaging winds. So especially in that very dark kind of, it wants to be purple, but it's not. It's like dark grayish,
The mix
purple,
of colors.
right? Yeah, right
Green
north of
and red.
Meisenheimer, where there might be some very strong wind gust in that area that we know is kind of knocking out power in spots. So we just want to keep an eye out for that.
Right, and we get back here to the regular radar that you're used to seeing in those colors, and boy, look at that heavy rain. We still have a strong storm near Salisbury and Rockwell there, and along that I-85 corridor. That was actually part of the same part of the storm that was rolling through Concord with that tornado warning a little while ago. Much weaker right now, or at least it's lost signs of rotation showing up there, but still moving right through the heart of Rowan County. We look back off to the west.
Yeah, I was kind of curious what was going on back there.
I know, in case you're watching from Hickory and up toward the mountains and even around the Shelby area, still watching some storminess here, maybe trying to get going more back off to the west, but there is no real threat here at the moment to the west. It's just some light to moderate and even some heavy pockets of rain here and there, but the rain is actually letting up quite a bit around the Charlotte area, Gastonia, and down into York County, but you can see there's still more to get through as this low pressure lifts on in from the south and west, and this is something we're going to be dealing with off and on over pretty much the entire week, just off and on bouts of rain, some needed rain, but unfortunately some severe weather along the way too.
Yeah, and this line, because I just broadened it out and put the loop on, I'm noticing, I don't know if you guys were watching with us at noon, this line that is now, over Albemarle and Wadesboro started, that was that cluster of storms that was in South Carolina that we had that one brief warning for around 11 or so this morning, and then has been racing off to the east. So, I mean, this line has had that history of the damaging winds in multiple spots now as it continues to push through. I'm just looking to see what that was. They're still keeping the tornado possible tag. Oh, it looks like they just extended it. There it is. The severe thunderstorm warning. You see the way that they that yellow box, they kind of just made it a much bigger yellow box to account for the damaging winds to 60 miles per hour, and it has that tornado possible tag for the little areas of rotation that we could have kind of embedded along this line as it races off to the Asheboro area.
That's right. So those warnings are just getting issued, those severe thunderstorm warnings, as the line just basically getting ahead of the line as it's now tracking, getting closer to the Triad area and the Sand Hills. It's going to be affecting, say, the North Carolina Zoo, Asheboro area, that stretch of Highway 73 and down through Bisco, and you get the idea. Up toward the Greensboro area, too, and eventually Sanford. So, again, that line progressing quickly to the east. We still, though, have that tornado warning in effect, really just kind of the northern part of this line that is now moving away from you folks in Albemarle, but still, again, does include that part of Davidson County and Montgomery County until 2:45. So we'll wait and see what happens if we can get Rowan County and Stanley County cleared out of this tornado warning shortly. As that line moves farther away, but still looking at the possibility of some rotation near the Albemarle area, and especially just to the north of that as that line is pushing to the north with some real gusty wind here, likely torrential rain. You've been seeing that if you live around these areas and even around Salisbury and Rockwell with that strong thunderstorm. But again, that tornado warning not in effect for Salisbury, But for kind of more of this rural area here, east of Gold Hill and out toward that northern part of Stanley County. All right, checking any more updates here.
Yes, more reports of some trees down in Union County. We've got a couple of those, in South Carolina from when this line of storms. Like I said, it originated when we were doing the noon show with you. We were talking about those strong storms that were there in South Carolina, and now they've quickly moved through. But let's see, checking. I like to check this periodically to kind of see if it changes, because it can change quickly, but still looking at some of the same, just like broad, darker colors.
You can see those little dark splotches there.
For the damaging winds. It's not a classic tornado setup.
Right.
But it does have that push of damaging winds that can knock out power lines and tree limbs like we've seen it do. I'm also wondering, this rain has been torrential. I wonder if this looks interesting at all, some of the observed rain, because a lot of this has been coming down quickly. We had that over the weekend too on Saturday, when the skies just like opened up and you had, those storms just kind of erupt. So again, just looking
some of those same areas too from over the weekend, upstate South Carolina and now to the east and up in the foothills, of course, earlier in the mountains, dealing with some of that torrential rain. Over the past 48 hours, some pretty hefty rainfall totals for sure.
Summer soaking for sure. Tis the season with all the heat and humidity. But so here's that tornado warning, continues until 2:45.
So again, no reports as of yet, of any sort of tornado actually touching down. It's just really that damaging wind threat for the most part that we're looking at, but with the possibility that we could get that brief tornado trying to spin up. And so that's why the National Weather Service, again, went ahead and issued that tornado warning, because we were looking at some indication of that, especially a little bit earlier. But now I'm really just seeing, you can see the heavy rain over New London and still some strong wind now lifting more up toward into the Denton area, and more so really affecting Montgomery County there off to the east. And behind it, it's some heavy rain, yes, and some pretty strong storms, some heavy rain, lots of lightning there around Salisbury, and the heavy rain continues in Concord and Mount Pleasant. But the tornado threat there back off to the west has ended for now.
Still looking at that line, the Storm Prediction Center still watching the area about issuing any type of severe thunderstorm, any type of watch or anything. But we've got this line kind of rolling through still with that push of damaging winds and the heavy rain. Still looking at this warning going until 2:45. So we've got another 15 minutes to kind of sit and wait and see what they wind up doing with this warning. But to recap some of that safety in the meantime, again, even if this isn't really spinning up the most classic rotation, we know that it's pushing through damaging winds. And even with straight line wind gusts, that could pick up something and it can fly through a window. That's why we say to stay away from windows in situations like this. So in your home, you want to be interior room, a hallway, a closet, a bathroom. Bathrooms, right, typically don't have windows, so you want to just be somewhere with four walls around you. Closets are great. Basements are the best place, but I don't have a basement. A lot of people don't have basements, so I know that my safe place is going to be the closet or the bathroom, maybe in the bathtub. Little kiddos can put their helmets on and grab their favorite teddy bear and go in there. But yeah, that's what you want to do. And I think even for the severe thunderstorm warning with that push of damaging winds, you definitely don't need to be outside for sure. But that's going to come through with a punch. So you might have some of those tree limbs kind of shaking around outside. With that, the storms probably lined from the top of the severe sea look, and now they just extended. You to see the way that orange kind of popped on there.
We were talking about southern pines, and eventually Sanford is likely going to be included in that severe thunderstorm warning. Laurenburg, so friends out there in Scotland County, if you have some friends or family that live around there, if you happen to be talking to them sometime soon, just say, you have a line of some heavy rain and some real gusty wind possibly headed your way. So southern pines and some of the golf courses out there. And yeah, you can see, so the tornado warning does officially continue until 2:45. So we're talking about now northeastern Stanley County, that northern part of Stanley County, and also up into Davidson County, that sliver of Randolph County, Montgomery County, but not for you folks in Salisbury. So if you're watching and you see tornado warning for Rowan County, no, this does not include that central part of Rowan County. This is more well east of Gold Hill, really a rural area here as that line, you can see just how it's kind of bowing out like a bow and arrow, right? Because we have that push of some strong wind making it look like that on radar, and it's heading quickly up to the northeast. What was that speed at last check? About 30 miles an hour or so.
I've seen, on the warnings anywhere from 30, 40, 45 I've seen. So yeah, moving
Either way, it's quick.
Really, really fast. And what I find so interesting too is all these like orange, yellow boxes that you see, they're all the severe thunderstorm warning. They all have the tornado possible tag. So they're all kind of accounting for, hey, we know that there's been like these little areas of rotation kind of embedded within the line. It's not like an independent supercell tornado that's you might more classically kind of know about, but you get these like little bits of rotation along this entire line, and it's because of that kind of U shape, that bowing shape that Tara is talking about. This, when you get a storm to do this, that's where you get that big push of damaging winds just out ahead of it, and it's so. The cutoff is just wild from where it's sunny in Robbins, and then look at the rain in Troy, and there's not that much distance in between, and you just get a the leading edge of this is just so sharp, and that's what's creating this damaging wind gust, and it's knocking out the power. We know it has in Concord, in this area, they've lost about 5,000 people have lost power in this area with that push of damaging winds, and that's why we've got this little tornado warning, because there's just one spot that just might be twisting and turning a little bit in that area.
It makes sense. I mean, when you look at just the wider view like that, of just how that swath of heavy rain, how it just kind of wraps, it's wrapping counterclockwise around. And so, yeah, it's kind of right in that area. And it looks like they have trimmed back that tornado warning, so no longer officially includes Stanley County.
Yes, no longer. They canceled it for Montgomery, Randolph, and Stanley. It's just that now, wait.
Oh, there we go. Rowan County.
Okay, so they just canceled it for Rowan County. So this one county that's left, Tara, is...
we've got Davidson County, just really Davidson County. Yeah, that southern part of Davidson.
Near Denton.
Okay. All right. So with that, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up our continuous coverage here as we were tracking those tornado warnings along with you here, meteorologist Elisa, Rafa, and I. But we will be with you here all throughout the afternoon. And if we don't see you again before Queen City News at 4, we will see you then and let you know the latest here on these storms and more waves of showers and storms to come. But still, again, folks in Richmond County, they're off to the east, and Montgomery County, you're watching from that western part of the county there. Just stay put until that line passes. Just know that we could still maybe have a quick spin up, a brief tornado until that line completely clears the area. So thank you for staying with us, and we'll keep you posted on any additional warnings throughout the rest of the day today. We'll get you back now to regular programming.